Hi everyone, hope you're well. This is CoinsKid. Just going on to Bitcoin, being the CoinsKid cruise. So we've got the crash that I've been on about for a very long time with yourselves, and one of the key clues to that was obviously the over exuberance. A lot of people saying no way, and things like that, and writing nasty comments in the videos. But I did say to you, anticipate a pullback here for crypto. I anticipate a crash for XRP to the God candle back test, and equally for Bitcoin, because of the crystal ball indicator showing that big crash basically. And obviously one of the key things I'm looking at with yourselves for a very long time, and unless you've not been paying attention to videos, it's the S&P 500. Like I said to you, when it does run into that 2 fib, expect volatility in the crypto markets, because every time we run into the fibs on the S&P 500, we get an enormous amount of volatility in crypto. And like I've taught you, crypto is more volatile than stocks, okay? But I look at stock market as a guide to the future for crypto. So far so good. We are seeing the S&P enter price discovery again, and it's ramping up the stairs. So for me, that's a nice little indication. Okay, we may have got this correction out of the way here for Bitcoin, XRP, and so on and so forth. A lot of people have been shaken out thinking you're in some kind of bear market, but it's a correction that we anticipated on this channel because of numerous data points. One is a crystal ball, and obviously one is the fact the S&P 500 in that 2 fib right there. Really simple technical analysis, and this is what I've been relaying to you. So I lost a lot of subscribers, and a lot of people says, no way, you're an idiot, what you're talking about, Bitcoin's going to go to 200k and XRP's going to $10 and things like that. But I'm just here to show you what I see. So the data for me at the moment that I relay to the CoinsKid crew, we see a 5-wave move down here for Bitcoin. This is why I was looking at basically a bump and run pattern, and we've traded these many times for Bitcoin. We traded one in 2023, pretty much the same time, to be honest with you, against the blood, fear and depression. And obviously I think the latest one was in April of 2025 right there when Bitcoin bottomed. So we may have bottomed, but what I'm looking at regardless is a 5-wave counter. This is why I jumped into some Bitcoin down here, on this final 5th wave down, and then boom, we've rode it up and it's doing really well for us right now. So my stops are on this low. So I'll zoom into the charts in a moment with you, but so far so good. As anticipated, I did say to you, we'll see a crash into mid-October, and then if my analysis is correct, we should continue the journey into Q4. So I think Bitcoin may be making a statement right now, because what we've done, we've broken this neckline, we're heading towards a God candle back test, we're breaking out. If we pull back, fantastic. If we hold the low, fantastic. Build up momentum, and then we go again into Q4 because of the crystal ball and the fact that the S&P 500 right now is breaking out. It's in price discovery. So I look at the charts with you, but I will keep you updated in the VIP section as best as I can. I do go on holiday quite a lot. I do travel quite a lot, as you're fully aware. And typically every time I do go away, there's some kind of movement in the market, which is weird. But regardless, I did post this to the CoinsKid crew on the 17th of October. Bitcoin, God candle back test. Do we see a bump and run reversal forming here? Send it to the orange line in a short squeeze. So, Bitcoin's coming down. We've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down. Beautiful count wave. And right now it's broken to resistance, made a high low, broken out. And it's looking to hold all the support in this neckline once more to attack this God candle back test, where basically you see this flush just there was never back tested as resistance, around about 119,636. So let's dive into the charts right now. But so far so good. Bitcoin is tracking the crystal ball to an absolute T, and no one's looking at it. Let's dive into the charts, see what we can see, okay? So looking at Bitcoin Insights right now on CoinsKid.com on the monthly returns, we are actually heading into one of the most bullish months for Bitcoin in history. Basically, November can be one of the most bullish months we've ever seen, okay? So I'm not saying it's going to do it again. I'm just relaying the data to you, but what I'm looking for is this key data point. And for anyone that's been paying attention, this is why I've remained bullish on Bitcoin, because the key data point is the fact that we had that one red year, okay, we saw that pullback, and then I expected 3 beautiful golden years, green years basically, for Bitcoin. So I'm looking for this deviation in this data. If by the end of the year this is red, then obviously your data's broken, isn't it? Your cycle's out the window. But at the moment, for me personally, if I'm looking at this and just relying on the data and looking, potential scenario, the data's not broken, because we've got another 2 months left. We're heading into the most bullish months we see for Bitcoin, into Q4. We've got the S&P 500 breaking out. We've got gold beginning to roll over with some kind of rotational top, which I've relayed to you. So we're pushing into Q4, which typically can be the end of Q4, which typically can be quite bullish for Bitcoin, especially November. So let's hold on for dear life at the moment. This is why I said to you, I'm not selling XRP, I'm not selling anything, because I anticipated this flash crash, shakeout, and I'm looking for the breakout. So obviously if I'm wrong, I apologize, but so far so good. If I'm just respecting the data, the key data point is the fact that we're still green, we're still looking pretty bullish here for the year for Bitcoin, and we've not seen the characteristics of the top, where basically we see a massive waterfall in the Bitcoin dominance, and we see a beautiful rotation where Bitcoin breaks out, pulls back, makes a lower high, and total 2 breaks out. Okay, and we've not seen that in any of these impulses so far for Bitcoin. So whether or not this runs into 2026, that's a theory floating around, business cycles and things like that. But I'm just looking at cycle theory, 4-year cycle theory. At the moment, we've gone through this crash and correction, some kind of shakeout, and Bitcoin is still up for the month, okay? And then if it can roll into November and December and remain bullish, you're looking at 9 versus 3 for bull versus bear. And at that point, you know, if we do start to see that rotational top where Bitcoin rolls over, makes a lower high, and we're seeing the waterfall in Bitcoin dominance, I'll, you know, tell you I'm out the market, because that's characteristics I'm looking for, okay? Like I've always taught you, time in the market beats time in the market. So this is why I'm holding on for dear life, okay? Let's dive into the chart, see what we can see. So looking at the total chart right now, something quite significant we've got to pay attention to is the fact that late last year we ran into the 1.272 as anticipated. Now this was my primary target. For anyone paying attention, I did say to you from this low in this particular chart and Bitcoin as well, I anticipate the minimal target to be the 1.272. Okay, and we ran up into that late last year. Then we come back in this A, B, C, which was a zigzag, a perfect zigzag correction. Then we broke out, and okay, like I said to you, all these targets where we form the wedge will be the targets when we come up. And we've done exactly that. So in recent times, which is quite significant in this chart for now, and we have to pay attention to this, is the fact that what we're doing, if you take a look, we've got this level of resistance where we ran into it last year, 1.272, and this is the weekly time frame. Look at that slam bang, 1.272. And what you're doing in recent times, since breaking down in July, you're currently closing above that level of resistance. You're holding it as support. Okay, so that's technically quite nice. You know, like I've taught you, resistance becomes support. So this was key resistance. You came back in an A, B, C, and again, you know, part of the confluence of the beautiful buy zone in the spring was the fact that from this here we had the 1 into the 2 into vertical. Well, I say vertical, I mean a waterfall, easily identifiable 3, 4, 5. So you got a beautiful 5 waves down. Perfect entry points, which I was relaying to you in the spring right there, especially for Ethereum, okay, because it was printing bullish divergence. But aside from that, we've seen a nice little move up, and we broke this resistance, and we're currently holding its support, so that's quite significant going forward. So if we can maintain that level of resistance as support, technically you break out, back test, and you're looking to continue. So that is still currently primary, and one of the key data points I'll be looking at, if we do start to roll over and start turning this into resistance, okay, that's not necessarily a good look for this chart. It means that you're coming down and you retrace into this low, you know, greater than I actually anticipated at this particular point, because technically what we're doing, resistance now becomes support. You've got all these closes, and remember this is the weekly time frame. You've got all these closes above a 1.272 in this chart. So this could be gearing up for a massive move to the upside against all odds and expectations, because I remember this phase here. I think it was January 2021. You know, we basically got this horizontal going sideways. Oh no, it's going to 0. Then it just broke bull. Okay, and within this, horrible pullback. You know, but you're pumping basically. You're breaking out in a vertical, and it's at this point just here, okay, where we saw the characteristics of the cycle top print, which is basically what we saw just there as well. Okay, which is really simple. If I drop a Bitcoin chart in for you right now, you can clearly see it. If we drop Bitcoin in, you can clearly see it. This particular point, look, you've got this high, which is the same high. You drop, this comes up, total and total 2, which is your altcoins, is making a higher high against Bitcoin making a lower high. If we go back to this particular time frame as well, exactly the same scenario. Bitcoin tops, this pulls back, breaks out again, but Bitcoin makes a lower high. Okay, it's called a rotational top. It's a cycle top. We've not seen it. Okay, if we zoom to the right, we've not seen it. We didn't see it for Bitcoin until the last time we saw that was in obviously the April. In March, Bitcoin topped, come back, made the lower high into May, but total was breaking out. So that's a characteristic of the top right there. If we zoom to the right, a lot of people screaming bear market at this point, we didn't see the rotational top. Screaming bear market at this point, we didn't see the rotational top. Screaming bear market at this point and not seeing the rotational top, because we're making all the same highs. So we don't necessarily see the characteristics of the cycle top, which we saw in late 2017 and obviously in the spring of 2021. So this is why, you know, I'm not a pumbo, whatever. I'm just relaying the data to you that the characteristics of the top, we've not seen it so far. Okay, so if we do start to turn around, okay, and we're holding this 1.272 and we've got this flash crash as anticipated, we've got a regular ABC since the summer, and we start to break bull, it's at this point as we enter Q4, okay, if we start to print, you know, the characteristics of cycle top, what we did there and what we did there, then boom, we've got a massive exit crypto signal right there. So again, there's no bias on this channel, but I just don't see that data point for me to jump up and down and say this cycle's over at the moment. Okay, a lot of people say I'm too bullish or whatever, moon boy, whatever, but I'm just reeling the data to you. So remember, on this channel, okay, and stick with the channel, I will give you the optimal entry points on all your coins, because you know this is where you buy. When you see 5 waves down on micro or macro, this is where you buy coins. And currently we're seeing one on Bitcoin right now. On the micro, we are seeing a lovely little bump and run pattern, which is basically the same as this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your lovely bump and run just there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lovely bump and run. This is a macro time frame. Please remember that. September 2023. Breakout back to see you later. Diamond bottom just there, and again we've got another bump and run here. You've got A, B, C. You've got a basically a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 setup, and you've gone through this A, B, C correction at the moment after running up in 5 into July of this year. So I think potentially the clue is right now we're holding 1.272, and we've not seen the characteristics of the cycle top in, you know, the charts basically, which is what we saw there and what we saw in 2017. So a lot of people say moon tardism, bull tardism, whatever. I don't care. I'm just reeling data to you, okay? Let's dive into the Bitcoin chart right now, see what we can see. So looking at Bitcoin on the daily time frame, at the moment, we are making a nice little progress on this neckline. I do like trend lines, to be honest with you. I've traded them many times before. So we do see a 5-wave move down here, okay, for Bitcoin. I think what scares people is the fact that they think that that's some kind of top for Bitcoin. But like I said to you, I think that all of this is corrective, okay? I think this is bull traps, which we experienced in Bitcoin many, many times. And the confluence is really simple. It's XRP chart. So like I said to you, I think, you know, Bitcoin's coming up on bull traps, okay? So just there was a top, same as XRP, and then XRP went sideways in the descending triangle, compression lead to expansion, and then right towards the, you know, the apex we dropped, okay? And this is where we saw this sort of flash crash and capitulation for Bitcoin. It's reset, you know, all your liquidity levels, you know, the leverage system's been completely wiped out and reset. Everyone's ran for the hills, and right now we're broken resistance, high, low, breaking out. So, you know, possibly a 1, 2, 3 setup where you come up in 5 waves into resistance, and then you pull back wave 2, and then you break in a 3rd wave. So that is currently my primary outlook. And, you know, potentially Bitcoin, XRP, and all them coins bottomed in sort of mid-October right there, which is my primary anticipation, some kind of shakeout before the breakout right into Q4 as anticipated. So, you know, if we drop the crystal ball in right now, this has been one of the confidence factors that I said to you, okay, anticipate some kind of horrible ABC as we head into October, because we've got a massive drawdown in liquidity, okay, and then we should bottom, okay, which we've done pretty much after that, and then boom, slowly but surely work our way up into Q4 with liquidity once more, which is trending up, where eventually it funnels down into the minnows of risk, which is obviously your crypto. So we're seeing other clues in the S&P 500, but this is breaking out into price discovery that, okay, this has just been some kind of shakeout before the breakout right on into Q4, okay? So again, there's no guarantees, but the confluence of the fact that, you know, that is the beginning of a correction in July could be an XRP chart in itself, that all of this is actually a bull trap. And right towards the end, we have seen 5 waves down, which is typically what we look at to finish a correction, okay? Like I've taught you, you've got your ABC zigzag here, A, B, C, right just there, 1, 2, waterfall 3 that lost all support, come back up in a 4, final 5th wave, and you've got all your neckline as resistance, as confluence, that once you broke out just there, I relay to you, that's a massive opportunity. There's your stops, breaking out, boom, come up into price discovery. So it may be a case of a 1 into a 2, and right now we're looking at a vertical 3rd wave for Bitcoin, which obviously carries the weight with a crystal ball, S&P 500 breaking out, the lack of, you know, the characteristics of the top we've not seen in this cycle, where really simple, Bitcoin comes up, makes a lower high, total 2, and total comes up, makes the higher high. That's your characteristics of the top, which we've not seen there, not seen there, when everyone's been calling for bear markets. So I'll leave you that. Nothing I say is financial advice, but on the 4-hourly time frame, going forward, you know, we are making quite a significant move here for Bitcoin. Again, I love trend lines, okay? I trade trend lines on this channel. Look at the confluence of that trend line right now. Potential 1, 2, potential 1, 2, waterfall 3, 4, 5 waves down. You're coming up into resistance, higher, low, breaking out to resistance. You break out, back test, beautiful. And right now, if this continues to show and breaks out that yellow line, which is 119,636, Bitcoin could be in for a good time into November, which is technically one of the most bullish months in crypto, okay? So at the moment, really simply, what Bitcoin's doing from this low that it put in mid-October, it's retracing to this high, your all-time high at 125752, take it out, your minimum target 132k Bitcoin, which would be absolutely amazing, okay? So impulsive, corrective, looking at impulsive move, coming to resistance. If you do begin to see Bitcoin taking out the 786 at 120648, there's a massive increased probability in a brand new impulsive move after a massive shakeout and a 5-wave you know, bump and run pattern breaking out right there. Hope you understand that update. Stay healthy, stay strong, stay tuned. Please dive into the VIP if you're not already VIP, okay? Take care, everyone. Back soon with an update on Bitcoin. Bye-bye.